Debbie, who's calling from the good old USA. Debbie, what's going on?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Taylor.
Hi.
Hi.
Taylor. Fan of the show. I had a question. It's not MLM related. I'm doing some research and would like to pick your brain. I've heard of evidence-based psychologists, and I've also heard of intuition and spiritual coaches or energy healer coaches. And I tried to do a search on Google, but I wasn't sure if the list that showed up were reliable sources to research the effectiveness of this type of coaching.
Well, spiritual coaching, right? First of all, anytime you see the word energies, run. It's never good if the word energy is used. That's my first tip. But Taylor, you probably have some more insight into this than I do as far as evidence-based practices for like life coaching and stuff.
So you're trying to get some evidence for whether or not these things are actually effective? Is that how I'm understanding it?
Yeah. Yes, because I've recently came out of, all I'll say is a high control group. And I've been listening to, what is that? Recovering from Religion. And a lot of their programs have mentioned evidence-based, which makes sense to me because I wouldn't want to go to someone that was, their practice was based in religion because I want to get away from that. So I understand the evidence-based. I'm for that. But then I also noticed that there was this other type of field in coaching, and I wanted to see your take on energy healing or clairvoyance or intuition, spiritual. It's interesting, Dan, that you said run from that, and I'm curious why you say run from that.
Oh, totally. Because anytime someone's talking about energies or auras, that's not evidence-based right off the bat. There has never been a scientific study, a legitimate scientific study from an accredited university that has ever confirmed the existence of like human energies or things like that. If you look at the origins of a lot of these claims, they come from, shall we say, spiritual sources, not necessarily academic sources. And, it's one thing to believe in like the human spirit or to have some sort of idea of a consciousness beyond the body. I understand the intuitive nature of that, although, I would disagree that that's a thing. But anytime somebody's telling, because like, that's a quick way to introduce BS. This is something that like Scientologists use, for example. They'll talk about the theremins. Is it theremins? Thetas? I think it's thetas.
Yeah.
That infest your body and that you need to be cleansed from. Tons of, even the Holy Spirit is another thing that people talk about. You can have the Holy Spirit in you and you can be influenced by demons. These are all variations of kind of the same idea. And, any kind of clairvoyant, energy healing, whatever person you go to, they're going to talk about some variation of that idea, and they're going to have just as much evidence as the rest of these guys, which is to say nada. And saying that you feel better after a session, by the way, it's not evidence. The plural of anecdote is not evidence. When we're talking about evidence-based practices, we're talking about it having a control group done by, again, a reputable source that can do these studies. And time again, when people have done a lot of these stuff, it just doesn't bear out to be true. There's like the Goop documentary stuff on Netflix that goes into this. But one thing, I'll add this at the end here too, the brainwashing theory of like cults and stuff. It came from this thing from the anti-cult movement. Guess what? A lot of that anti-cult stuff where they try to do anti-brainwashing, that's not good science either. And a lot of people are surprised by that because they think, oh, well, the first thing we should do if somebody's getting out of a cult, I don't know if you came out of a cult, you said a high control group. So I'm just assuming, like whatever high control group, maybe there was some sort of influence on you. These brainwashing groups, they're not using good science either. They're just like hitting a market. they're hitting a target demographic with techniques that haven't been examined in a lab or haven't been examined by people who, you know, study this stuff for a living. So that's why I say, yeah, you should be wary of that stuff. You know, if your doctor wouldn't recommend it to you, I wouldn't recommend it to you. That would be my take. And hopefully your doctor's not a chiropractic. That's it. That's all I'll say.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, and I was just going to add, Debbie, are you looking for a counselor or something along those lines? Because you mentioned life coach.
I am, but I'm not in the position to, at the moment I'm not in the position, but when I do, I'm looking. Yes.
Okay, so if you're looking for a counselor, I highly suggest the Secular Therapy Project because all of their counselors are vetted, and especially if you're leaving a high control group, I would suggest that Secular Therapy Project.
Will do. They're on my list. Thank you.
Okay,
awesome. Good. Well, thanks for calling, Debbie. Hopefully, I answered your stuff there about energies and stuff. Yeah. Not cool. Again, don't like it when people make fake medicine. I think fake medicine is the worst out of all the gifts, right?
Yeah, the pseudo medicine. Yeah, because like kind of what Debbie was talking about, like these things are unfalsifiable. Mm-hmm. Like if someone can actually convene with the spirit world, we can't. There's no way for us to test that. We can only just take it off of their word, and so that leaves it really open to manipulation and them just telling you that they can do these things to make some money.
Yeah, and like you know that like we live in a country that profits off of healthcare, right? Like people are looking for new methods of medicine and stuff. If this stuff really worked, if there was a basis for it, somebody would be trying to get this approved through whatever certified board they need to. And people have, by the way, the fake stuff, they've totally tried. And again, that's why we have those regulations and stuff in place. And unfortunately those regulations do let some stuff get through in terms of like the supplement industry and stuff. There's a lot of BS with that. You know, I joked about chiropractors, but you can call yourself a doctor of chiropractic, and that's a thing you can do. Even though chiropractors don't go to medical school, they go to chiropractor school, of course.
Yeah.
And that can vary. If you're going to talk about subluxations and how you got, you know, ghosts in you, like that's what old chiropractors used to do. So I don't know. Really scary stuff.
Yeah.